Chapter 7. Eloise sat near the window in her favorite chair. Her mother used to sit in the same one in the evenings and mend, quilt, or read. Since her mother's death, Eloise had claimed the chair as her own. Tonight she fought against the needle and thread, making a poor show of concentration. The needle wouldn't thread, the knots wouldn't hold, and the scissors wouldn't cut. And she blamed it all on a pair of green eyes that winked at her and the back of a shirt that marched its way down the path without her. Tobias sat across the room, softly singing hymns and rocking Luke, who had long since fallen asleep. His chair creaked in rhythm, and Tobias rubbed his calloused hand on the toddler's back. He snuggled the boy and kissed his blond head. Luke sucked his thumb, but was otherwise still. The thread tangled again as Eloise tugged it through the fabric. She gripped it with both hands and growled her frustration at it. Resting the mess on her lap, she took a deep breath and attacked the knot with vigor. It was no use. She added another grunt for good measure. Grabbing the scissors from the basket, she snipped the thread, tied it off, and threaded the needle to start again. Angling her project toward the lamp for better light, she resolved to finish at least one seam before she gave up for the night. Tobias stopped humming and stared at her. "What?" she asked, biting off the word and the thread. He only smirked.
"Nothing."
"Then stop it," she glared at him.
"I'm not allowed to rock my baby?"
He was unafraid of her. "Stop staring at me. I'd like to see you try. This stupid, dead-blamed thread."
"Language, sister. Not in front of my boy."
He covered Luke's exposed ear. "He's asleep," she answered, not looking up. Squinting at the needle, she attempted to rethread it again. "I've heard you say worse."
"Can't prove it."
She eyed him for a moment until the creak of the rocker went back to its steady rhythm. Tobias sighed and snuggled Luke tighter.
"Elle?"
"Yes?"
"You're upset. What is it? And don't tell me it has anything to do with whatever mess you're working on over there."
"Nothing." She held the 2 quilt blocks carefully and ran the needle through the fabric. Her running stitch was not as neat as her mother's had been, but it was functional. Eloise didn't take much pride in her sewing. Or baking. Thankfully, Agnes Anderson kept her little family in good supply of baked goods. She frequently dropped off Swedish rusks, tea rings, and smorgasbread. Agnes had gifted the bread for years, but Eloise paid her now for a regular supply. Sure, she should be able to bake for her own family, but it wasn't worth the effort. She wasn't good at it to begin with. Everything she tried was terrible, so she'd given up. Evening sewing at least kept her hands busy, even if she didn't love it. Every few weeks she had something functional to show for her sewing efforts. On the other hand, she couldn't do anything useful with burned food. Come to think of it, what was she good at? She was good at loving Luke. She kept him busy, healthy, and loved. When Katie died and left Tobias a widow and Luke motherless, Eloise felt useful again. She'd found purpose again. She missed Katie and the sister she'd found in her, but Luke was now the happiest part of her life. They spent much of their time wandering the country around town and visiting the Palmer family. She took him down to the smithy to watch Pa work, who had become a grandpa to him, even though there was no relation, and they visited Tobias and the other boys at the brickyard. Not today. Mr. James had ruined everything. What right did that man have to come into her town and keep her from going to the few places she wanted to go? He and his good-looking face and perfect smile. And when he winked at her, goodness, she hadn't felt her stomach flip like that since Philip. Today's emotions were as varied as the weather. She didn't know what might come next. She'd been appalled, embarrassed, and yet he treated her like a friend, like someone he wanted to talk to. He made her laugh, but more than that, he looked at her as if he truly cared about what she had to say. "You'll just have to trust me." Except she couldn't, wouldn't. Why did she still hurt from when he'd brushed her off? What had she done wrong for him to shut her out so quickly? It didn't even matter. They weren't friends. He was a stranger on his way west. Avoiding the brickyard for a few days would be simple, and Palmer boarding house, or any other place she might run into him until he left town. He'd told her himself he wasn't staying.
Elle?
What? She yanked the needle through the fabric hard enough to snap the thread. Tobias frowned at her and shook his head.
Just put it down. It's not worth it.
She saw the concern on his face, but she didn't need him to worry about her. She was fine. He always made such a fuss. After all, she wasn't helpless. She wasn't a child. Even if he was her big brother, it was only by a few years. He'd never even been required to do his own washing, thanks to her. Bending over her work again, she muttered, "Don't tell me what to do."
Okay.
The rocker creaked, and he shifted Luke to the other side.
Arm's fallen asleep.
"Why don't you put him to bed?" Clamping the needle between her teeth, she unwound another length of thread.
Why don't you mind your business? Looks like you have enough to worry about over there. I'll hold him as long as I want.
Eloise rolled her eyes. "Fine." Wetting the thread between her lips, she poked it through the eye of the needle. She pushed it through the fabric and pulled it through slowly, carefully, backstitching a few times to secure the seam. She ignored her brother. Tobias resumed his soft singing.
All the way my Savior leads me, what have I to ask beside? Can I doubt his tender mercy, who through life has been my guide? Heavenly peace, divinest comfort, here by faith in him to dwell. For I know whate'er befall me, Jesus doeth all things well.
He trailed off during the second verse and hummed through it, guessing at the words, then went back around to the first verse. She wondered what Tobias was thinking about, and if he knew he was singing the same parts over again. She didn't look up as she carefully weaved the needle through to finish her second seam of the evening. Do you believe it?
Believe what?
The song. Eloise and Tobias looked at each other in the evening light. The sun, almost gone, cast a soft glow over her hands in her lap.
Which part?
He asked.
I wasn't paying attention.
All of it. Being led, him being merciful, in spite of all we've been through, losing Katie, Mom and Dad, Philip. Can you say he does all things well?
Can you?
He asked her. Eloise looked down at her hands. She secured the needle through the edge of the fabric, folded it gently, and tucked it into the basket with the other notions. Taking a deep breath first, she answered him. "I don't know."
Elle, I don't try to understand him, but I've got to believe that he's guiding us. There would be no purpose for any of it otherwise.
The creaking of his rocker filled the silence. Eloise rested her head on the back of the chair and closed her eyes. It was good to live here, safe, easy, accepted, loved. She was only 15 when her parents died. They were just 2 of the 100 who died that year of fever. Tobias had made it work. He took care of the brickyard business and encouraged her to finish school. She picked up the other duties of the house, and they fell into a new sort of family. "Did you hire Mr. James?" she asked.
Zeke? How'd you hear about him?
"We met, bumped into each other, rather. Did you notice the prints on his shirt?" She chuckled. "Those were mine. He plowed into me on my way back from Pa's." Tobias laughed loudly, disturbing Luke.
Shh, 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 shh.
Luke quickly settled.
I wondered about that. I didn't ask. Yeah, I hired him on the spot. Had Dee show him around right away. Guess he'll do all right. He worked the pit this afternoon. We'll see how long he lasts. What did you think of him?
Images of him laughing at her when she scrambled away in the water came to mind. So did his repentant attitude and tumble, as well as his good-natured conversations and flirtatious winking. What do I think of him? He's a flirt, overconfident, distractingly good-looking. He's seen me half naked in the creek.
Elle?
What? She glanced at Tobias, startled.
What's wrong with you? You're jumpy tonight.
Nothing. I'm not. I'm fine.
Yeah, okay. I asked you what you thought of him.
Oh, fine. She pulled the sewing basket into her lap and dug through it absently. We didn't talk much. Jess and I were busy.
Mm-hmm.
What? She clunked the basket back on the floor by her chair.
I don't believe you. And don't leave that there. Luke will find the scissors again.
Eloise stood and feigned a yawn. Well, I have nothing more to say. I'm going to bed. She put the basket on the high shelf.
Good night,
Tobias said. He followed Eloise up the stairs. She went into her room, and he passed her down the hall to lay Luke in his crib. Eloise sat on the edge of her bed to take the pins out of her hair. It fell down her back, and she shook her head to release the rest of the knot. Hearing Tobias come down the hall, she wasn't surprised when he stuck his head into her room and leaned a hand against her doorframe.
Your blush gives you away. It always has. There's more to this story.
He untucked his overshirt.
No matter. You've got 3 days to worry about it. Good night.
He ducked out and crossed the hall to his bedroom. 3 days? 3 days for what? Eloise jumped off her bed and scattered hairpins to the floor in the process. Clicking her tongue at the mess, she bent and gathered the pins. She shoved them on the top of her dresser and scrambled to Tobias's room. Flinging open his door, she caught him taking off his shirt.
Geez, Elle, don't you ever knock?
He asked. Sorry, 3 days for what? Tobias hung the shirt on its peg and sat on the bed to remove his socks.
Oh, did I not say? I invited Zeke for dinner Friday.
You didn't?
I did.
You did what?
He's coming to dinner Friday.
Why would you do that?
Because I live to make your life miserable. What's the big deal? I've had workers over before. I didn't know you liked this one.
I don't like him. I don't even know him.
Okay, well, I didn't know you didn't like him. I thought it would be nice to get to know him. Besides, he looked hungry.
But it's only Tuesday. He may not still be here Friday.
He will. I don't pay until Friday. Shut the door on your way out.